Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So today we are going to be looking at the Falxmen. If you've watched my last video on Vercingetorix, you've seen that I was getting close towards the end of the tier 4 warband, and I sort of faced with the choice of continuing down the Barbarian Infantry or flicking over to the Falxmen line, and I decided I wanted to try out the Falxmen. Something I've obviously never played before, didn't try it out in closed beta either, so I thought, yes, let's give it a go, and so far, really enjoyable. Before we get started, one thing to say is I'm having a few issues with light coming in, so if my head disappears from the green screen, then apologies, because it's sort of all a bit crazy over here, I think. So yes, Falxmen, how do we get on with them? They're a bit strange in a way. They are basically kind of like a glass cannon. They have really high attack damage in terms of well, melee penetration. I mean, look at that, a base melee weapon penetration of 58. And then with weapon upgrades and consumables, that's with another plus 25, so we're like well into the 80s for melee weapon penetration, which is just insane. On top of that, they have a semi-decent melee attack, although it's only 99, I wish that was a little bit higher. And good weapon damage. And other things such as they ignore shields and shield defense, that makes them really effective against things like the Roman heavy infantry with that high melee weapon penetration. And ignoring the shields means they can do a lot of damage against Romans, particularly once you get into forests and things like that, where they get that plus 25% melee attack bonus. I've not yet got these guys fully upgraded. I have gone and got the main Falx upgrade, which gives me more melee attack, which is exactly what I want. There is another option, a sharpened Falx, which gives more melee weapon damage and penetration, but absolutely not worth that in my opinion. I think more and more as I play this game, I'm shifting increasingly towards melee weapon damage. It's not really that important, whereas it's the attack that's the ability to land hits, which really dictates how much damage you do, not sort of that slight increase in the amount of damage when you land a hit. So yeah, always, in my opinion, go for melee attack over damage. We've still got the Raider's Trousers and the War Paint, which is going to give massive increases to movement speed. And that's to say that these guys are not slow from the start. They have a 4.4 base movement speed. And then they're going to get a plus 6% and then a plus 8%. These guys are absolutely going to be stonking it across the battlefield once they're fully upgraded, and they're quick now. So that's something else to really look forward to. Not only that, they get a dash and a charge. So yeah, really, really enjoyable unit. It's really nice to be able to chase down archers and that sort of thing. I'll get rid of the chainmail once I get the war paint, because I'd rather have the movement speed than a bit of body armor, because I don't have a lot in terms of body armor to start with, so plus 12 doesn't really make a great deal of difference. I think that's all there is to say about them. I'm currently running them with Vercingetorix, although I am going to be trying them out with Boudica at some point, because I think that's kind of an interesting idea to try them with Boudica. So yeah, so we're going to have that to try. Obviously we've also unlocked Defiance for the first time, being now at tier 5, which basically gives you an increase to melee weapon damage and attack, but more importantly it means your units don't die until the end of the ability. So you can activate it, your units will still receive damage, but they'll keep fighting till that ability ends, and then as soon as the ability ends, if they've received, if a man has received 4,000 damage, she'll then just die immediately. But it means that your unit can continue fighting at sort of a good amount of strength until the ability actually ends. So, I think that's all there is to say about them, really. Let's hop into a battle and see how we got on. So, you join me on the Battle of the Alps. So I was spawning with these Falxmen in the middle. I didn't get one of these top spots which I wanted, but I am still basically beelining straight for the forest over here. Obviously, being Barbarian Infantry, they have very high mobility, which means they get the full forest bonus, which gives them that 25% melee attack and melee defense increase. So it makes them quite a lot more combat effective as soon as you get into the forest. So yes, that's my initial plan, so I just get moving over here. The rest of the team seems to have got a pretty reasonable team layout, sort of combination of tier 4s and 5s. I don't think there's any 6s in the game. So, not bad matchmaking, something that's going to give us a bit of an advantage. A nice javelin throw by those barbarians. So we'll just wait for our guys to get up into the forest, and we'll see what we start to see. The first thing we get spots on around here is these units of foot companions. Having said there's no tier 6s, the first enemy unit I go and look at is of course a tier 6. Yeah, so these are kind of a real threat to both us and the team. But for some reason they've decided to go in the forest, which is a bit of a strange starting decision, because obviously they get some of the debuffs associated with that because they've not got particularly high mobility. So as we enter the forest, we get that buff. We'll get a charge impact buff as well, I didn't know that. Basically I noticed that let's slow this down slightly, we have these 3 enemy units arrayed over quite a wide area. These Falxmen here start to push into the friendly cavalry, which is fine. And then we've got another enemy unit here and an enemy unit here, all from the same player. I'm pushing up to the edge of the forest and see that. And see that this same player is being engaged down here, and he's shortly going to be starting to drag this unit down as well. Which kind of means he's got quite a lot to focus on managing. Spearmen, once they're in hoplite formation, is quite tough, I think, quite intensive. So trying to look at that, trying to manage this unit and pay attention to this unit is quite hard. So I take my chances that he's not going to be paying sufficient attention, and it works. So if we go back to full speed, you'll see he's not paying attention. I get the nice, just a frontal charge straight into him there to pin him down. Not paying attention, he doesn't enter hoplite or anything like that. And then I flank with these 2 units. He tries to pull out of the engagement, realising obviously that he's made a mistake. But I come around and I use my frenzy charge just to get straight into the back of him, and we sandwich him right between the 2 units. We get double flanks, rear and right, and he just completely routs. And we just get to cut his units down very quickly. And a really nice bit of early damage, particularly against such a high tier enemy unit as well. One of sort of the main threats to the game. And we get to do a lot of damage to him. It doesn't completely destroy him because he manages to get away from us. And then here, I pull out of this forest. I should maybe have spent more time to form up. I sort of blob together, basically, and just completely rear charge, which isn't a good move. One, because I catch a few units on the cliff face, which doesn't do me any favours. And obviously, blobbing together like this isn't really a good practice to get into. But I just kind of wanted to get round as quickly as I could to get the rear flank on these enemy units and help our allies, and just get these enemies to rout quickly as possible, which we do, and we don't really take very much damage for it, so it doesn't really pan out too badly. We rout that unit, and then we just get the rear flank on this unit over here. There we go, they completely rout. We actually managed to crim a nice little bit of damage as they try and retreat through us in absolute chaos. So that was kind of a nice opening start to the game. 1,000 aggression damage, and we've basically taken no damage. All our units are about 95% still, so that's great. Then I noticed we catch a brief glimpse of these Roman tier 6s again. Tier 6s seem to be everywhere. Units clustered down here, so I think, well, I could clear this plane down here and maybe attack them if I can clear this corner. So we start to do that. You can see I arrayed my units like that, but because it's on a corner, it kind of meant they're clustered as they tried to all fit the tightest way around that corner. And basically these pushed around, sort of as a bit of a snap decision. I decided, right, let's just get the flame in, because I reckon if I can get the flame in and engage them, I'll be able to hold them on the flame, which we do for quite a while. And you can see how much damage we accrue up. Looks like 8,000, 8,000, 9,000. Then they have to pull past us to get off the flame, which is what they do, but it means to be a good opportunity to get quite a lot of damage against them. And we managed to get some flanks on them, and then we get friendly infantry pushing in as well. So despite the fact I've managed to form into sort of quite a nasty blob here, which is obviously not a good thing, and the enemy then did pop Vengeance, which was a worry for me. But the first enemy unit routed, and you know how much damage we're getting to build up already, even if I'm accidentally pushing some of my units kind of into the flame a little bit. So then I think, oh well, I could pull back from the Vengeance to try and get it to debuff, but that's we've got an allied unit already engaged in the fight, so I don't really want to do that. And actually, with us being double flanked on them, we can get them to rout pretty easily, which as we just do here. So the Vengeance isn't that much of a problem for us. Look how much damage we get. It's just lovely cutting enemies down like this when you get sandwiched them in a formation like this. And I just carry on the blob, because there didn't really seem to be any benefit to not, because we're just flanking them straight away. Okay, and routed. And we just finish off that last enemy tier 6 Roman legionary. So I thought things were going pretty well. 2,500 aggression damage. Although the match is like so touch and go, we could really go either way. So following that engagement, looking at the map, I see nothing anywhere near our own base. And so many of these engagements are lost through base cap. I thought, right, let's just head back over that way. Let's play it safe. We've got time. I'd rather our Romans just hung on a little bit. You know, we could push together, but I just sort of felt it would be best to get towards the friendly base first. Also, one thing to note, in patch 3.1, you no longer take damage from friendly infantry stakes. My units can run through them. It's just a point to note that that's something that's changed in the latest patch. But as I push down here, I begin to think, oh well, it doesn't look like there's anything really going for the capture. Maybe I'm just wasting my time, particularly as our allies are pushing on, and you know, with it being so close, am I just leaving my allies exposed? In the end, I decide that I probably am, and I would be better off pulling back down towards sort of our friendly base. In the meantime, I noticed that our allied, one of our allied soldiers who just had 1 man left alive is actually capturing the watchtower. And this is actually a really good move, I felt. Obviously, you can't do anything else with the combat-wise. You know, he's basically dead. But by capturing this watchtower, which he does shortly, it takes him a while because he's only got 1 man. Bless him. He provides line of sight over our base. Actually, really useful. Really good move on his part. Look at that. That's about the most useful thing I think he could have done with that 1 man. Because that gives us that line of sight over base. And it gives me sort of assurance that there's nothing about to push onto base. So I feel I can push confidently now towards the enemy. Which we do. So we'll pop into a little bit of fast forward. So yes, I'm just pushing along. Here I noticed that there's some artillery car park coming from here, and as we saw, we just got brief spots on the enemy artillery there. So I start to push up through this gap here, and with the intention of pushing around to engage this enemy artillery. Units all in pretty good health, and obviously get caught some tier 4s, so we should be able to deal with these. We're not going to worry about vengeance at tier 4 because Germanicus doesn't get that till tier 5. So we should be able to deal with these guys pretty effectively. Looks like they've gotten 2 units have started because there's another one pushing up here. So we're still going to be a little bit careful. But I just want to push into them as quickly as possible and try and take out these artillery because they're obviously doing damage to our own units. So we push around this corner. It took me a while to realise actually that they were coming down to intercept me, which was good on their part, but pretty poor and pretty slow response on my part because it means I kind of blobbed a little bit to my units. But we were able to get 1 unit clear, which I used to push round. Straight in the flanks, whip out that burning scorched earth, and look at that nice little bit of damage there. I then basically ignore this unit with this and just push straight into their artillery and get a lovely charge. 8,000 damage, and then right in the middle of the unit, and then we just start hacking down the artillery crews brutally. We get flanked by these Hastati, and I was a bit worried that we could end up routing because we're completely surrounded basically by enemies, so I just smash Iron, Discipline and Defiance. Although you have to smash Iron Discipline before Defiance because Defiance will silence you, so you need to make sure you get them in the right order. And that's fine because we're not going to rout them, and our units don't even die, so we start to cut them down pretty ruthlessly, and it gives us a lot of aggression points. Over here we are just finishing off these Hastati. That Scorched Earth did quite a lot of damage to them, and while we've taken some damage, sort of 7,000, 8,000, we've done about 25,000 to them, and it's just a case of finishing them off now. Which we do shortly, and then we can bring these units up in support. Because these guys are having a bit of a hard time against these Hastati because we're quite outnumbered. But our friendly cavalry gets in on one of the flanks, and we are able to bring these guys round to the rear. Turn on them, activate the charge, I think. There we go. Smash straight into the back of them. Wait for that rear flank, which we get. Down to 9 morale, and then shortly I think we get another side flank, maybe. He says, or we just cut them down, maybe we just do that. See how much damage we can crew up so quickly with these guys. They really are quite brutally effective. Particularly against the Romans, because obviously it ignores all their shield defence. Oh, and there comes the friendly cavalry, which gives the right flank, and those enemies Hastati are dead. And that, basically, is that. I just move over here, just to take out these infantry stakes to get to these last couple of artillery crews, although they're being shot to pieces by friendly light artillery. I think these enemy, the friendly cavalry take a bit of a risk, because they charge over these stakes momentarily. These guys move around them, but these guys just charge over them, which is kind of reliant on me actually cutting them down because they're only destroyed at the last second. So that was a bit of a risk. They nearly killed themselves on enemy stakes there. But the rest of our team basically cut down these Romans left in base. They get rear flanked. Oh yeah, they're definitely routing, and they just get cut down pretty quickly. And that is basically annihilation. Just as the game is coming to an end. That's just absolutely perfect. And basically we got 4,700 aggression damage. Not much in the way of support points, although I thought we did a fair amount of support. Rear flanking some of the enemy units. But hopefully that sort of gives you a bit of an idea of kind of why I've been enjoying the Falxmen. It certainly wasn't a perfect engagement. It definitely did a little bit too much blobbing there at times. And probably not enough use of Scorched Earth maybe in some areas. But we seemed to catch a few enemies off guard, and we got some nice flanking manoeuvres, and we caused quite a lot of routing there. And obviously once you get an enemy unit routing, and you can just cut it down pretty easily, so it tends to work pretty well. And yeah, I've been really enjoying them. I find them pretty easy to play nicely. I think I get sort of pretty consistently good games with them. That high damage potential makes them quite nice. The main threat to them, their biggest weakness, is the fact they have no shields and little armour. So their missile block chance 16. Look at that. That is truly shocking. So things like slingers will absolutely decimate you so quickly. Archers also hugely effective, as well as javelins and that sort of thing. The amount of damage you take from ranged units is just insane. So if you get caught in the open from slingers, something like that, you will die very quickly, because they'll be able to do a lot of damage to you. The only pro that these have against archers is their speed. Particularly once I get the 2 movement speed upgrades, then you'll see that you are able to chase down ranged units pretty quickly. But if you happen to cross a long distance to get to units like slingers, I think they'll have done so much damage to you by the time you arrive that you won't have anything left to kill them anyway. So yeah, watch out for range. Just try and avoid them is my plan so far, basically. But yes, overall a really good unit. Hopefully you've sort of liked this video and combat. If you have, please give the video a like. Subscribe to the channel for more Total War Arena content. We'll be trying these guys out with Boudicca shortly. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I shall see you all on the next episode.